What are you doing?
I'm doing a coyote howl.
Okay. Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'll be talking about this book, which is upside down. This book, Michael Connelly's The Last Coyote. Let's see if we can get this in better focus. This is book number 4 in the Harry Bosch series. Harry Bosch is a detective and in LA. He's an LA homicide detective. So there is a Harry Bosch series, and I think this is the second to last book in what is exclusively Harry Bosch. And then at some point I need to look at other books that involve Harry Bosch, that if I want to read it so it makes sense, I need to also read those series because there is some overlap. But The Last Coyote takes place, it seems like, right after, pretty soon after the one before that, The Concrete Blonde. And I, as usual, did not know what I was getting into with this book. Loved it. 5 stars. Everything I've read of his, I've loved. 5 stars for everything I've read of Michael Connelly's. The first 3 books that I've read, Michael Connelly was recommended to me by my dad. Thank you for that, because I've really enjoyed it. It's Harry Bosch, named after the Dutch painter. And I have a book about his paintings right there. What happens in this book? Because, as I said, I didn't know going in, and we find out pretty quickly that Harry Bosch is in trouble again. Harry Bosch is our favorite, regularly in trouble cop. He is dealing with a suspension, and he is going through counseling with a shrink from the department. And we don't know exactly what happened at first, but he doesn't want to be there. We know that. But he starts to open up, and eventually we find out that he knocked his supervisor, Lieutenant Harvey Pounds, into a glass window in his office and was in trouble. Now, there's a reason he did it. It wasn't just to be mean, but he's in trouble, and he should be. So he had to give up his badge and his gun, and he is going to counseling. And one of the first things he says to the counselor, one of the things he says in his first session, is that he does his job because everybody counts, and if everybody doesn't count, nobody counts. And that gets him thinking. There's one case from 1961 that he's never solved, and he was too young to solve it, but we find out this is the case of his mother. His mother was a prostitute. She was killed, possibly raped, and her body was left in an alley in 1961. The beat cop that found her body was Irvin Irving, who was eventually, I think, a deputy chief of police in the department, very high up, and we know him from other books. This book is essentially Harry Bosch going back and finding out what happened to his mother and trying to drive home that everybody matters, including the body of his mother, who was kind of ignored because she was a prostitute, and it wasn't a high interest case. So they kind of went through the motions in the 60s and gave it up. So this entire book is Harry getting more and more information about what happened, and it turns out it's not just a straightforward killing. There's a lot of power involved, a lot of power plays, a lot of high up rich people connected to what happened, and we don't know how far those political powerful reaches go. Harry had a girlfriend at the end of the last book. She just left and went to Venice, Italy. I thought she was going to come back at some point. There were moments where I thought maybe she was dead, and that's why he hadn't heard from her. But he's hurt by that. He feels kind of abandoned, and he's dealing with a lot of stress and post-traumatic stress. It's not disorder in this book, but it probably was actually when this was written. It was PTSD, but I don't think they used it. They didn't use the term PTSD in this book, I think. We get to follow Bosch in his random dreams about this coyote that he sees running around in the hills of LA. And Bosch is dealing with post-earthquake LA. His house is condemned, so he's kind of working in and out of that. He follows up leads that take him to Florida, where he meets a girl nicknamed Jazz, and they do it a few times, and they like it, and he likes her, and I think we're going to see more of her. I hope. No, we are. We're going to see more of her. I think so. And that's mostly what happens. I love what Michael Connelly does. Michael Connelly is an award-winning, or was an award-winning reporter that covered the police beat in LA. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to cover it. He knows the terminology. He knows the ins and outs. These books are a little dated. This one's, I think, from 94, 95. So some of the references are a little dated. This is when mobile phones, or portables, as it's referred to in this book, portable phones were relatively new. So we're getting to see more of that. Everything before this, there weren't any portable phones, so there's a whole lot of stopping somewhere at a payphone, picking up a phone somewhere and calling somebody and saying, hey, when you need me, this is where I'm going to be. Well, now he has a portable phone, so he's more accessible. He's kind of in this transition period. This is post Rodney King riots in LA. This is post Hurricane Andrew in Florida, post LA earthquake. I don't even know if there was an earthquake in LA at this point. I don't know if that's a fictional earthquake or what, but they're dealing with a lot of that. And we just get to see little bits of Harry's past from when he was a child, and memories he had, and how his past experiences as a child have shaped who he's become and the way he approaches stuff, and some of his damaged life, and the love of his mother. Despite what she was doing, the desire for his mother to rescue him from the foster system and give him a good life. And that was cut short because she was killed. And I believe Harry was between 7 and 10, I think. I wish I remembered. So I love the book. Everything I read of Harry Bosch, I do feel like he's probably a little on edge for a homicide detective, and could probably dial it back a little bit so he's not always in trouble. But would it be as interesting? No, probably not. So I'm excited for the next one. As soon as I was finishing this book, I went out and bought the next book after this, Trunk Music. I have a few books I'm going to read before that, but I love Michael Connelly's work and the Harry Bosch series specifically, and I think pretty soon I might start watching the show. So if you haven't read Michael Connelly, do read Michael Connelly and enjoy Harry Bosch, because he does some things that are wrong, and he has a checkered past, and he's certainly made some poor choices, but he also does a lot of things for the right reason and has a good heart. So he's a character that you can really like. And he's a character that other people cannot like in the stories. Even people that are also probably decent or respectable. So, Harry Bosch. Michael Connelly's The Last Coyote. Coyote. 5 stars. Check it out. Have a good one. Thanks for being here today, and I will see you later. Bye.